Not much sun out today. Sees a few little dings in there, but I wasn't paid to fine-tune everything. I was paid to paint it. Said it was ready for paint, so that's what we did. So now we're going to bring the 38 Pontiac in and see what we got to do there. Well, first thing that needs to be done, because I don't have the foam yet, and really have tore the interior apart to see what really, how we're gonna do it, but this needs to be fixed. This was part of the job. I'm sure it's gonna go probably up in here by the pedal, I would assume. You know, you look at her and got potential. Everything has potential. I'll show you why my mom chose to sell it. It had got hit with the plow truck when it was in storage by somebody else, and they just flapped the metal over, and you can kind of tell that it's not the smoothest. And this is how they did it here too. Which was not right to do. A gentleman that was putting the Mustang 2 front end on for my dad while he was in Florida hit it with the plow, and that's how they chose to fix it. And this is how they chose to put the steering link in it. Linkage in is with the muffler clamp. That's how they chose to do it. Because my dad he would trust people, and then this would be a muffler clamp here to hold the steering wheel up. You know, and of course we got to share a rot. You know, that's to be expected. You know, I understand that, but when you start getting into this, now this is the frame. But when you start getting into this is what I didn't like. When you start, for some reason, you start hacking with a torch to make things fit, and you just, you know, I don't know what the reasoning was. You can see where they just hack stuff up. Apparently this must have been just all rusted, I would assume, because you can see where this plate was welded on. But you know, look at where they cut this. Look at the difference. You know, you got a finger difference of the height, and that's what my buddy had showed me. And that's when I started deciding, you know, because when my dad passed away, we each got a choice of what car we wanted, and I originally picked this one because I wanted it, and my buddy told me, said look at it, he says no, here's their Mustang 2 front end setup on it. Let me see if we get a little better bird's eye view of it. Yeah, that's welded on. Okay, my dad was never happy with it because my dad wanted the car to set low, and it never set low. So I guess he just let it. He just quit putting money into it. but that's how they chose to put the Mustang front end on. I'm not saying I'm a fabricator, but I'm saying I know I could have come up with something a little bit better than this. They really did my dad wrong. It's a shame, but I'm just showing you, not hating, just stating, just showing you why me and my mom chose to let this car go, because I really liked the body style, but I just knew I didn't have the time and the effort and the manpower just to really bring it back to something, because you gotta have a foundation, and the way they did the frame, it's hard to build anything off that frame. It really is when somebody else went in there and cobbled stuff up. I mean, I'm not the best welder, but when they tried to fix this, I think it was easier for them just to cut it, and then just weld it, instead of hammering it out and doing it, you know, the better way. Because this is pretty lumpy, so that tells me there is a lot of fill. There is a lot of fill right here. I mean, this, I'll show you how much fill there's got to be there. And this is in just one spot. I'm sure there's fill in other, and you know, it's a 38, but this is how they chose to fix the door after they hit it with the plow. So that's reading 1/8, that's reading 3/16. There's a 1/4 inch of mud. That's how they chose to do it. Instead of, you know, hammering it out. There's over a 1/4 inch, so you don't know how far, you don't even know if it's going up to a 1/2 inch. So that's how bad they did my dad. And just explaining why me and my mom chose to let the car go. It's sad, but people do rip off other people, and you just try to make wiser moves. That's all. I moved the seat out so I could get in here and actually weld, and the more you look, you start noticing stuff. This is how Hillbilly chose to put this cover in, and that's how he chose to cover the steering column hole. He just, I guess it would be nuts and bolts and a couple screws, and we didn't even put primer on it. I'm not saying to put a new floor pan on, I'm just saying that I'll go and tack weld this down and clean this up and weld something solid in here. Wow. That's all I can say. My dad paid to have a wire harness put in too, and by the same guy, and this is what they chose to use. I know my dad, and he always paid good money, and he always paid up front, you know, because he felt the guy would do a good job, and that's not always the case. Not always the case at all. This would be how they welded the brackets on to the seats. Yeah. That would be how they did it. And to be honest, this really goes against my work ethic. But it comes to a point where you don't have a choice, and I'll show you what I mean. I'm gonna drill holes, and I'm gonna put bolts through the diamond plate for a floor, because the more I look, the more I see. Okay, this was the hole that he wanted fixed. Okay, then underneath the seat, what do we have here? We don't have anything. It's just, it's gone. And then we got a big bolt right here, and then we got another hole, and it isn't gonna, it's not gonna end. It's just, you know, it's just not. See right here, this is where the seat, when you have the seat up, you don't see it. This is a hole. It's not gonna end. And it isn't like we had discussed the whole floor pan, and I know that isn't the route he wants to go. I hate to put a piece of diamond plate in here, but I don't think I would basically, before I know it, I'm scared if I lift this cover up and unbolt it, what's there? And then the metal keeps growing and growing, so I have to go and do something like that, even though I don't like to. But sometimes you have to make a judgment call, and this car is never going to be restored, I don't ever believe. And it's sad, but it's seen as days, and I don't recommend this, but this is what's going to happen. Well, this is the best I can do today with the tools that I have and the time and the resources. Not making any excuses. I put bolts with lock nuts on them. I did use some of I put more bolts on. I did use some pop rivets because their sheet metal screws weren't going into anything. They were just kind of like flopping in the wind. Yeah, I really didn't have to take the seat out, but I did plan on welding it in the beginning, but it doesn't matter. It's done. And then the day is done. It's time to go home. And the piece segment. The piece segment, peace with oneself. It's the only thing I ever needed, and it's the only thing I ever wanted. That's what I've realized. Peace, people.